Hey guys, what's up? It's Amber Kumar, and I'm back again with another video. Today, I'm really happy to announce that our bet has won again a second day in a row using artificial intelligence and ChatGPT for this bet, along with my own little bit of my own judgment there. But that bet was mainly used with the brain power of ChatGPT and fully AI. And I wanted to mention this isn't the free version of ChatGPT, so I have been using a paid version if you guys are interested. It's called 4.0. It's the most recent version, which is the one that GPT dropped last week. So I'm really happy though that we've won again. Dallas Mavericks did win the +4. However, the over under it did go over, and I did tell you guys that GPT was saying it was going to go under. But with that one, I told you guys to stake on the +4 and not on the over under. So if you did listen to what I said, then you would have profited along with me because I did profit, and I know some of my friends also profited because they do tune into these videos. So I want you guys to be a part of the winning team. So make sure that you really listen to what I inform you guys on for the final consensus and just tail whatever I'm doing because I'm going to treat this like an expertise. I don't want you guys to lose money, and obviously I have my own money at stake here too, so it's kind of like you feel invested with me that I'm putting my own capital at risk. So I'm trying to get a return on investment, and that's why I'm trying to pull the best bets. Even if GPT and the AI is going to give us multiple picks, I'm going to want to pull the best pick out of all the predictions. And I got my pet over here with me today. Silky, say what's up. Silky, say hi. She's also happy. She was taking a nap. But we're both pretty happy to see that we won 2 days in a row on this NBA betting. So, today's video, we're going to recap yesterday's bet. I'm going to share my screen in a little bit right after I give you guys this breakdown. And we're going to go over what we did yesterday a little bit, and I'll go through that fast and just review everything because I already gave you guys a little bit of a heads up of what we're going to be talking about. And after we go over that, then we're going to transition over to tonight's game, which is game two of the same series that I did make a video 2 days ago on, and we did win that bet. That was our first bet, which we used AI and ChatGPT to predict between the Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics in Boston. Game two is also in Boston, and I believe it's at 7:30 p.m. So the thing is that we're going to go over and use AI again. But yesterday, I had some ideas when after I watched the whole game between the Mavs and the Wolves, and I had some ideas in my head. I was thinking, instead of attacking this using just linear regression or logistic regression, I was thinking, why don't we use like different two or three modules and also packages on Python and statistical methods like maybe linear regression, logistical regression, gradient boosting, random forest regression, XGBoost, and then we'll get some different statistical methods to get different outputs against our picks and against the Vegas lines. And I did tell GPT these picks. So let's get straight to that. And I'm going to share my screen right now. So just give me a second here, guys. Okay, you guys should be able to see my screen and what I'm looking at over here. Okay, guys, so this is where we ended the video off yesterday. I told it it's quality work. We ended that at a projected score of 203. That did not hit because it did end, I think, 106.14. I have the score over here. What was it? 105, 108. So 213. That is not too far off, but our prediction its prediction that the Mavs are going to win that one. And if you took Mavs on the spread as the underdog +4, then this data right here, it doesn't really matter because you would just ignore this because we're taking them on the spread and you would have won your bet and profited successfully anyway. And I'll just recap on how we got that. So it gave us a projected defensive adjusted Timberwolves simulated projected points. And the reason why it's saying defensive adjusted is what it means is that I gave it some opponent's points per game average, which is going to take into account the points per game on average and deflate or inflate against the expected simulated value without that value. So you see a lot of code here, and I can just break this down really quick. And I just told it, let's rerun this 1,000 times using the revised implementations. And it's using NumPy packages, Panda packages, scikit-learn packages, linear regression packages, and it's going to use all these data along with these key statistics here, which you guys can find publicly on ESPN right over here. And but now I'll go back over here. Um, and it groups this data in like we saw in the other videos. So I don't need to spend too much time on that. Stores them as variables, uses a linear regression model, creates the functions, and then iterates it 1,000 simulations, as you see there in that code segment. But then this is where it gets interesting. I think this is what is really leading to us winning these bets, is that we have a final adjusted points. But the thing is that we're putting in a defensive adjusted points value, which is going to deflate that value and make it more realistic. But one thing that you guys do want to keep in keep into mind in account is that when we're using that deflated value, using the defensive adjusted points metric over here, we don't want to iterate our data too much and change the fine tune the data too much that we're overfitting that prediction value. Because if I go back, I want to show you guys something which is really important over here, guys. We go to projected points, blah, 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 a lot of stuff over here. Let's go. Yeah, here it is. So this is what I was looking for. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So it says the total adjusted projected score was at 117 for the Dallas Mavs and 113 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now the thing is that what was the game ended at 108, 105, I said, right? Yeah. So the margin is very close on this prediction, and this would also have won you the spread bet. So both this prediction and the other prediction that I gave you had the Mavs on top of the +4 spread, and you would have beat Vegas if you had used my information yesterday, and you would have profited some cash. But what's key here, what I really wanted to show you was that it's showing in this projection that there was a total projected score of 231 points for the total game. Now, if you had just used this value for over under betting, you would have won on that pick as well. But I told you guys specifically not to stake on that because I saw that the value was giving it at 203 right after we adjusted it for defensive statistics. Because you can see here that I asked to adjust it for defensive statistics and projections, and that's why it incorporated that into the code. But the thing is that when I go back down over here and we get to this value at 203, if Vegas set the line at 207 points on the bookie that I was looking at, then we're setting AI is having the game ending at 203 after adjusting for defensive statistics. That's only a 4 point margin. And when we're using something like artificial intelligence, we always have to keep in account that there's going to be external things that we do not understand that the AI, that we understand, but the AI does not understand, right? And so I watched that game yesterday, and anything could have happened in that game which could have made the game end a different way. The Timberwolves were definitely looking like a threat, but the thing is that we were kind of caught in between in our prediction because in the initial prediction at 230 points, the game did not end anywhere near 230 points. As a matter of fact, it ended closer to 203 points than 230 points, right? But what I'm trying to say is that we still had to adjust that number to get a more realistic number because it didn't end at 230 from what I just said. But at the same time, it did go over 207 points. So the way that I use this reasoning and the way that I actually use this consensus, the brain power, I'm trying to find the right word, the knowledge, yeah, the knowledge behind these picks is the decision making comes from the fact that I want to see a significant gap between what Vegas is setting and what our AI is generating us for our picks so that we can have a significant return on investment for your capital and for my capital. So that's what happened yesterday. But overall, guys, it was still quality work, and we still did win our picks yesterday. So let's keep that in mind for today's picks. So now let's transition over today. So tonight we have the Pacers taking on the Celtics in Boston in game 2. And let me go over here. Let's find game 2. So the Pacers are coming off of a 5-point loss in overtime against the Celtics. Now, 5 points is not a lot, and the fact that the Pacers were controlling that game actually at the end, and they were 3 points away from winning the game until Jaylen Brown hit that clutch three at the end, which forced OT and led to the Celtics winning. This means that I think the Pacers are still a clear dominant threat. But the Vegas has the Celtics at -9, which means that because of what they saw in yesterday's game or day before yesterday's game, sorry, is that they think that the Celtics are more of a threat. And I do still think that the Celtics will probably have a higher chance of winning this basketball game than the Pacers. But my overall consensus before we even jump to the AI would be to tell you guys that I don't think you guys should even bet on the money line on this game, because if you do take the Celtics, and they most probably will win this game and you will win your bet, but you're taking it at a -324 odds, guys. I've checked the Vegas odds right before I hopped on creating this video. So I know exactly what the odds are. And this isn't a fictional odds. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. I got this from the bookmaker website, which I use to stake real money on. So -324 odds, if you guys do understand about betting terms, that means that you have to bet and stake $324 just to get a profit of $100. So if you bet $100, you're probably only going to get like 30 bucks, 25 bucks. Is that really worth it for your money, given that the Pacers kept that game that close? I don't think so, guys. But I think the value in this game is with the spread and with the over/under. So that's how we're going to do our consensus betting today using ChatGPT. And let's try to extend the streak. And right now we're 100% winning with our return on investment with GPT. So let's get straight to work. Okay, guys. So the first thing I told GPT, I mean, I'm not going to go too much into my inputs, like I said, because you can check out my other videos if you want to do that. And I want to save time and get us straight to the meat. But I will tell you what I said initially, and I'll just skim through this. So I said, I want you to pull the code that you used to predict the Pacers and Celtics game one at 238. So basically use that, but then use the fact that it's 225 points. So it's doing that. It's running some statistics, simulation values with Pacers and Celtics. And then it is going over here, but then we're seeing that it got an error with the code, with the analysis. So it's not telling me what that error is. So I'm not really sure what that is. But it runs a second block of code. But then I think the GPT is starting to get confused over here, because now he's running it for the Mavs and the Timberwolves, when I told it specifically to run that prediction for the Pacers Celtics game. So sometimes AI gets confused and it has hallucinations, and you just need to guide it and basically keep it on a leash to make sure it's not giving you some BS output. So then I just skipped through this because we're not looking at this game today, guys. We're looking at the other game. So we can skip through all this. But I said, okay, for the next Python code module, just run a prediction that uses as much data from the data that I gave you, and run 1,000 simulations with the best mathematical model that you can use to predict us a winner for game two between the Celtics and the Pacers. And Vegas has the line at -374 with Celtics winning that game. So it's saying to predict the winner for game two between the Celtics and Pacers, we'll use a more sophisticated model, such as a random forest classifier. So now this is different from my other videos. In those videos, like I said, I was using linear regression and logistical regression. But in this one, we're using a random forest model. You guys can search that up online. I don't have time to explain that in this video, but it's a different mathematical methodology, which will bring us a better classifier for accuracy. And it's going to combine player statistics, team statistics, and defensive metrics, use that model classifier, simulate the game 1,000 times, and aggregate the results to determine the likely winner. So we're using these packages. It's importing the data. It's going through all this code. And then it didn't give me an output. So I'm like, all right, man, I think you're mistaken. I wanted you to predict the over-under code at 225 points for the Celtics versus the Pacers, and not for the Mavs, and use the Celtics Pacers data. So then it gives me another code block over here. It gets an error itself. So it revises that error by normalizing the combined data. And then we're going through this over here, and it still didn't give me the output. So you have to keep, whenever you see that GPT is giving you code, we just have to keep telling it, all right, give me the output, because I don't have time to waste. Like, you're giving me code, but you're not running the code. What's the point of that? I mean, obviously, yeah, I can copy the code and bring it to Python, but if he can do it for me, why not just save the time and let the AI do it? So that's what I did, and now it gives us an output. So this is what we're looking for. This is our first data, but this isn't the data that we're going to use for our prediction. We want to make some more tweaks to make sure that you guys are getting the best possible information for this data. So the final prediction for the Celtics versus the Pacers game, the simulated points is average points for the Celtics at 108. It's saying average, but that's actually the simulated average. It's not just pulling a number out of thin air and saying that this is the average. No, this is simulations based on this code over here and running that 1,000 simulations. And the Pacers it's saying at 106. So already it's saying that the Pacers will most likely win this game, but that is a very thin gap between the two teams. And it's saying a total simulated points will be at 215. But we're not going to act on this information. What we can act on this information is that we're already leaning towards a Pacers +9 spread pick, but do not use this information yet on this over under, but you can use it for the spread. So based on the simulation, the total projected score for the game between the Celtics and the Pacers is approximately 215, blah, blah, blah. This suggests that the game will likely go under the Vegas line of 225 points. So that seems a little bit weird. So I think there's some hallucinations going on, given that the first game ended at a points total way higher than that. And so I said, run the code to give me an output for the Pacers Celtics and use the data I gave you 2 days ago, where you ran a simulation, got me the projected at 238, and we have Vegas winning it at 324 for the Celtics as the favorite. But I said, remain unbiased in your prediction because it's very important that we don't want to bias that, oh, just because the Celtics won game one, they're going to win game two automatically. We don't want that bias incorporated here. So that's why I'm trying to tell GPT that. So it's running us some code. This is a large code file, and we see that it's running into some errors here. And it appears that the issue here arises from the logistic regression model because there's one class which is only training data, getting us one class, and there's a data split imbalance. So to fix this, it's saying we should ensure that both classes, the Celtics and Pacers, are represented in the training and data set. So now it's revising the code, and it's giving us some more code. And let's run through this. Then I said, run the code, give me the output. So it runs it again. And now we come down. This is another error over here, but this time we're getting a value error. So at least we fixed the last error. And it's saying the least populated class in Y only has one member, which is too few. The minimum number of groups for any class cannot be less than two. So basically, this is a data input issue. And now the data set is too small. So I didn't even need to tell it. It already started revising the implementation by balancing the data set and then rerunning that simulation by revising the code. So AI is pretty smart that you don't even need to do that. So over here, you can see that I actually did get a little bit aggressive by telling it, run the fucking code and get me the output because, man, I don't have time to waste. Like, you're going to give me all this code. Like, I started getting upset, man. Like, I'm seeing this code, but what use is the damn code if you're not going to run the code? Like, I want to get some output from that code so that we can get some information to make some decisions against. So now, provided the team statistics for Celtics and Pacers, it's using this data again, Celtics points per game, Pacers points per game, Celtics defensive statistics points allowed against them. So this is for the defensive adjusting. Then this is the player data. You can see the player names here, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, Derek White, Grant Williams, Sam Hauser. And then for the Pacers, we see Halliburton, Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, Chris Duarte, Jalen Smith, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, and all of these players. So the thing is, now we're going down over here, and so now we're seeing the Celtics, the data frame over there, and it's going to combine the team statistics and the player statistics, and it's going to get us an output over there, guys. So now we're running that through over there, and we are going to see the key team features with the normalized team data. And we're going to define a prepared combined data set over here. And then it's running that, storing that in a variable, creating another function. So this is a huge code file, guys. So this will definitely be able to get us some strong information. But the problem is it does get us some strong information, but it's telling us that this predicted winner will be the Celtics. But the thing is that why is it telling us that it's going to win at a probability percentage of 100% against 0%? That is way too high. That looks like there is some bias right there, guys. So that's why I told it that your prediction seems biased. There should not be a 100% to 0% prediction value. So it's going to revise that code, run the code again. I'm going to save some time by running through this. And then it's getting some errors in the code. It fixes the code again. We run down, and I still need to tell it to run the code. Now, this runs that same code value, but it does not get to fix that error. So it's telling us, though, however, it did run us some analysis and tell us why is there this bias? What are the reasons for this bias? And it's saying that there might be a model overfitting issue. So the logistic regression is on such a small data set. So maybe we need to give it more data so that it's going to run more data and not just say, oh, based on the first game, man, we saw the Celtics winning that game. So I think 100% because of the statistical method, we saw one win from the Celtics, one loss from the Pacers. That guarantees us that the Celtics are going to win game two. But obviously, in real life, in the NBA, that's not how things work. You know, a team could win by 50 points in the first game, and they could lose by 37 points in the second game. So the thing is, the second one is that he's saying, yeah, data issue. So it's all about that. So it's all about the data issue. So I said, okay, let's change pace here a little bit. Let's slow down. Let's look at a different thing. So I said, now let's use a different statistical output. So this is where I said we're going to use a random forest regressor for this data instead of using a linear regression model. So I said, use a different statistical output to get me a new prediction for the score total of Celtics versus the Pacers, game two in Boston tonight with the given Vegas line of 225 points, and do not make this new prediction value biased against your last simulations. So it gives us this code, we run through it, and we do get some errors here, but the errors occur because the number of features in the simulation doesn't match the expected scalar value, so it revises its own code, gives us some more code over here in a second file, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. You guys can read through this, but there's basically just a lot of data analysis and arrays and data normalization, predicted score values, appendations. And then we have the simulation value set at 1000. We're going to run that value, get us a simulated points. And this is where we can see we're starting to get some value. So I think we're going to use this for our first pick, which is Indiana Pacers +9 is going to be our first pick for this video. Predicted score that it's giving us for the Celtics is 117 points, with the Pacers at 114 points, and a total simulated points value of 231 points. It's saying that based on the simulations, the total projected score for the games between the Celtics and the Pacers is approximately 231 points, with the Celtics winning. This suggests that the game is likely to go over the Vegas line of 225 points. So the first pick that I'm going to tell you guys to make is take the Pacers +9, and that's the AI backed pick. We're already 100% return on investment with the AI picks, and we did a lot of coding there. You saw I asked it a lot of questions. We did a lot of tweaking, so there's a high probability that that will win. I mean, obviously there are some things that can go wrong in the real world. You know, somebody gets injured, then the Celtics go off, or the Celtics just have a crazy scoring day. But if we're looking at it in a neutral position, this does look like a high likelihood of the Pacers covering that +9 value and us making some return on that profit pick. Now, for the over and under, it is saying 231 points, which is over the 225 points value. And I'm not saying to bet the under, I'm saying to bet the over, but I'm saying, though, bet it with caution because 6 point value, like I said earlier in the video, we're seeing a 6 point differential between the Vegas line and our AI line. However, that is still a pretty strong pick. So I'm not saying to undervalue my pick or be less confident in my pick and be scared with your capital. The over is definitely a stronger pick than the under, given that game one ended at, I think, 261 points after OT. And even without OT, it was still a very high value very high scoring game, ending over 225 points. So that's why the over, along with the data from my AI pick, is going to go with the over 225. So those are the two picks. But before we end this video, I said, now use the same statistical method of random forest and use all the data that I gave you about the Celtics and Pacers and the fact that Vegas has the line of -324 to make an unbiased prediction, fair for both teams, and give me the output and not just the code. So it runs into some errors, and it's still not able to fix that, guys. So it goes back and it runs some logistic regression and it still gets us that same prediction score. So this is the same score as before. And the predicted total score of 231 points suggests that the game might go over the Vegas line of 225 points, and the Celtics are heavily favored to win. So that is true. So if you guys want to bet the money line on this game, definitely take the Celtics at the money line. Do not waste your capital by betting on the Indiana Pacers, even though it is plus odds. That is very high risk to your capital. So I would take Celtics as the money line, but that's not my number one confidence pick. My number 2 confidence pick. So that's the I'm going to go from number 3 confidence, number 1 confidence. So number 3 was Celtics money line. Number 2 confidence. I'm going to take the over 225 points, and this is all using AI from this information that I just showed you, using Python, using different statistical outputs and different statistical methods, using ESPN data and real NBA postseason data to get these outputs. So that would be over 225 points for the score total. And your final consensus pick, guys, will be the Indiana Pacers to cover the +9 point spread and get some good value on that bet and get a high return on investment, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But before we end this video, I just wanted to give a little recap on that free pick I gave you guys yesterday. So that bet did lose, and I did lose a little bit of money. But the thing is, guys, I mean, I'm going to be honest that that one was really not expected by anyone. Nobody expected Atalanta to win that game 3-0, and that too the same guy who scored all 3 goals against the Leverkusen defense, which means that the Leverkusen defense just had something going wrong that day yesterday, and they were heavily favored by Vegas. You know, that just shows us that we cannot really always trust the Vegas odds either. But stay tuned for more videos, and I'm going to keep trying to experiment with different statistical methods and different classifiers like random forest gradient boosting and XGBoost. XGBoost, I'm going to cover that more in the future because I've done some experimenting with XGBoost, and I think that that can bring us some value as well, guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed the videos and today's video, and please do use my information, but stake wisely, and let's make some profits today on Boston Celtics versus Indiana Pacers. Thanks, guys. Like and subscribe.